has not made a second heat if he doesn't get in. Big day for the Dutch in a women's race. 9th place was enough to guarantee that they will be selected by their National Olympic Committee to go to Vancouver. So a huge day for the women's Dutch bobsleigh team. Last year at this race, the season opener, Edwin van Calker started the season with a top 8 finish, which guaranteed him Category A funding for the remaining run-up to Vancouver. Now he needs a top 10 in the world again to guarantee a place in the selection for Lake Placid for Vancouver. Well, he's got Sybren Jansma on the brakes behind him. We were hearing last night that Sybren may not be fit enough to push, but it seems this morning he came out of the blocks feeling pretty good. 5:30 getaway is not what you'd normally expect, so he's healthy enough but not as fast as he'd like. And a couple of taps early on might spell drama for Edwin van Calker. 0.58 behind, and nowhere near a 96 km/h speed, never mind 97.5. And this might make it difficult to make the race, and he is really hanging it out there. Nearly crashed off 13, and that surely is them out of contention. A 57.83. Well, that's exactly the result they did not want here. That's a very major disappointment for the Dutch.
Netherlands sled number 1, the lone entrant into today's competition. Esmé Kamphuis, the pilot. Tine Veenstra, the brakeman. Compai ranked number 15 right now in the World Cup rankings. She's been very steady, 14th place, 14th place, and 16th place in her 3 events. You hear a huge ovation down there. We're very close to the Dutch border, a couple of hours away, and this is the closest track in the world to the Netherlands. Start time of 5.75 for Kamphuis and Veenstra. As I mentioned 35 times last week, they have a new sled that they're competing in here. And I was speaking with Coach Tom Delhunty about the sled. It's a sled that the Russian men have used. And Delhunty, with whatever logic, I'm not sure, stated that it's a sled, narrow sled, much better suited for women's bobsledding. Throughout most of the week, Kamphuis was training with her other brakeman, Uda Rosenstruck, but Veenstra gets the call here on race day. Half second back. She could be in the top 10 here. Not a bad run working for the Dutch. They cross in 10th place, 69 hundredths off the pace, and only 4 hundredths of a second out of 8th place. Kamphuis looking at what could be her best finish of the season. We'll take you from the labyrinth all the way down to the finish here, where the speeds are 80 miles per hour. And they had it a little interesting here on this far wall at the finish. What we've learned here is that's actually a sign of good speed down at the bottom. The sleds that sort of cruise easily across the finish line are the ones that are back in 11th, 12th place right now. Back here in Winterberg, Germany, a good first run for the Dutch, finding themselves in the top 10. Esmé Kamphuis and Tine Veenstra. Huge ovation from the Dutch faithful. We're very close to the Dutch border here, about a 2-hour drive. A lot of spectators have made the way over. The Dutch men have a strong program as well. We expect a top 7 result from them in the 4-man race. Kamphuis, 26 years old. Spent most of her bobsled career also working on her medical doctor degree. We always would see her studying at the hotel. She finally earned that degree last spring. 7 hundredths up on the Americans right now. The USA took the lead before the commercial break. Opening it up now, Esmé Compai, Tine Veenstra. They debuted with this new sled last week in Italy, but the result was nowhere near as good as they're doing now, a 16th place. Here they guarantee themselves a top 10 as they cross the finish line with a big lead over the USA, 58.73. She says yes. We'll have to get a translation from our Dutch TV crew to find out what that means in English. Into the finish curve. Again, they have the tap there, but not too costly. With the high speeds of 78 miles an hour, it can only be dangerous sometimes, but they cleaned it out here with a really nice trip around the finish curve.
Yes!
The Dutch had a great performance last year. The World Cup opener, Edwin van Calker, had a 4th place finish. Teamed up with his brother Arnold, Tim Beck, and Arno Klaassen. Zebrin Jansma absent from the sled today, and they will give up a few hundredths at the start as a result. 5:16 start. Push bar comes in late. 4th place last year in the World Cup opener for Edwin van Calker in what began his best season to date, which culminated with a silver medal at the World Cup in Koenigsegg. With his brother Arnold right behind him in the sled, Edwin grew up on a vegetable farm in Groningen. He's now earned his master's degree in economics. He works as a banker during the off-season. His specialty is the stock market. In the labyrinth, 900's back, keeping it close at 82.9. Can it be top 3? It will be at least top 4. 4th place, 1700's off the pace for the Dutch, with still some very challenging sleds to come. The Latvians, the Swiss, the Canadians, and the Americans. Tom Delhunty is the head coach of the Dutch program. Problems there as they enter the Kreisel, the Veltins Kreisel. And as we saw on the sled before, that usually translates into a rough exit. This was the finish curve, rather, where they gave up 800ths at the bottom of the track. There's Zebrin Jansma right there with the hoodie on. Still trying to fight off a hamstring injury. The Dutch, Netherlands number 1, Edwin van Calker, Arnold van Calker, Tim Beck, and Arno Klaassen. Brock, they're one of the best starting teams in the first 50 meters in the world, but what they're without their big superstar push athlete.
Sebring, yeah, he's I believe he has a groin injury, so he hasn't been racing 2-man or 4-man, so they've been a little back at the start, usually in the top 3 in 4-man, and definitely in the top 2 in 2-man.
Best start we've seen so far is a 5:06. This crew had a 5.16 in run number 1 and a 5:17, moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, they really are. That's it's going to be tough to with the 10th up at the start. It's going to be hard to catch him down the track. Edwin's going to have a really good drive down the track.
Van Calker and company finished 4th last year in 4-man in the World Cup opener. That was their best ever finish to date, but they bettered that with a silver medal a month later in Germany. Koenigsegg.
Losing time going into the Kreisel, 2100s behind. It's going to be really hard down as you get towards the labyrinth, where a lot of the teams have lost time. Really, a lot of the brakemen have gotten beaten up down there. Taking some hard hits.
Van Calker trying to compete through the Olympics. He has a master's degree in finance and is a banker during the off-season. Yes, it works with the stocks. But don't put stock in him on his sled today as they fall back a spot. They were pretty quick down at the bottom.
Yeah, they really were. Actually gained 1500s at the bottom.
Right, yeah, but not the track ran out on them.